Mr. President, it could also be a part of the reserve strategy of the central bank. So maraming ang binili na para sa reserve, but we will get a definitive answer.
That would appear to be the opposite. Di ba baliktad yun? Kung nagre-reserve ka, nag-iipon ka, hindi ka nagbebenta. Can we be enlightened on the rationale
Para
of the
makakuha ng
BSP?
cash reserve.
Selling
Sa
its
binibenta
old
nila.
holdings. Nagbebenta para sa cash reserve.
Oh.
Pero kasasabi lang, meron tayong 1.2 trillion to fund the rest of 2024.
Iba naman
even
kasi,
going
hindi
into
naman galing sa
2025.
central bank yung funding natin for the GAA.
Tama.
So maybe it's just central bank.
Because of that, the gross international reserves today is $112 billion, highest ever.
And because of that, maybe one of the contributing factors is that our dollar reserve is 112 billion US dollars, which is the highest ever.
Yes, but the question also arises, and it has been asked not only here in the Philippines, but elsewhere, what's the overall effect of the sale of gold on our gross international reserves?
Well-
sa BSP, yung GIR natin, syempre, babagsak din yan, ano?
Tumaas actually. Our dollar reserves increased.
The dollar reserves increased, pero yung overall, yung gross reserve, including everything we have.
They are still in.
9% of our GIR is still in
It's
gold.
still in gold.
Oo.
So, yes, but this is quite a large amount. This is largest amount that we've heard in the past several years. Assuming that the gold was therefore converted to US dollars, where were the proceeds of the gold sales invested? Do we expect those assets to outperform gold, which has seen stunning prices this year?
Actually, Mr. President, the reason why also part of the reserves were sold is because of the high demand and price of gold. Now, instead of holding on to it, when you also forecast that, or when you analyze that it's a high number or it's in demand, that's the time actually you also sell, but you keep a certain percentage for reserves. So the particulars of which all of your questions,
Perhaps
Mr.
you can
President,
submit them. at a
will be
certain-
submitted.
Okay. We also would like to know what's the average price of the total gold sales of BSP. Is it higher than the current price of gold at 2,754.27 per troy ounce, which I believe is a record amount. So I doubt that, in fact, we sold at this exceedingly high amount. So our GIR could arguably been higher if we held on to the gold instead of selling it from the beginning of the year onwards.
Syempre, of course, you want to sell it when the price is high. Di ba, Mr. President?
But
Okay,
it
now,
would have been wiser if we had held on to it kasi pataas ng pataas, hindi
yeah,
po.
but that's also a risk you take, di ba? Parang you also try to see your appetite for risk, di ba? You see that maybe you already have a threshold of this much. Anyway, bumawi na tayo ng ganito. We can sell here, but let's also keep. Because in the future, we still have the 9%. We can still sell that eventually. I mean, while we are also garnering more reserves, yung 9% na yun, ang pwede naman pag all-time high pa rin ang gold. Pero I share again, as I mentioned to our other colleagues, I share also your curiosity, and I would like to know how much the central bank sells per ounce gold and when. So we can compare to the market price. Baka naman sabihin nilang impressive 2,700 per ounce, yun pala, at the time they sold it, it was worth so much more or so much less. So please submit that to us.
Yes.
And where did you
and
put the
also-
proceeds
Yes.
of those
And perhaps also most
AAA bonds of Senator?
Most importantly, the rationale for doing so, given that so many countries are in fact in a mad rush to acquire gold. And here we are unloading our own gold. So it's a little peculiar. The timing seems to be different. I will admit, in fact, that everyone has a different investment strategy. But having said that, why are we so much against the crowd. In any case, we'll await your information and proceed to what several think tanks have advised, that a viable option would be to join the Philippines to join the BRICS alliance. Given that new members from ASEAN have already been designated as partner states. So I just wanted to hear what our economic manager's opinion is with regards to this. Is there a Philippine plan to apply following the lead of our neighbors?